Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Monday, March 20th. This is Gina McGuire. Over the last 24 hours, we've only seen light amounts of precipitation over the northern third of the Great Basin, with continued warm and dry conditions elsewhere. Over the last week, the image on the left shows that precipitation again has been focused in the far north and has only been above normal over the central Idaho mountains, with below normal or no precipitation in other areas of the Great Basin. Even over the last 30 days, precipitation has really tapered off, especially across the southern half of Utah, into eastern and southern Nevada, but has still been above normal at times over the Sierra into western Nevada and across parts of Idaho into Wyoming. Now looking at the satellite loop from this morning, we can see a storm system off the west coast which will continue pushing eastward, with clouds increased across the Great Basin and also a few light showers over parts of northern Nevada up into Idaho this morning. We will see increases in precipitation as we go through this week, as several storms will impact the area after a fairly warm and dry period over the last week or so. Now looking at the ventilation index for today across the Great Basin, with the storm system moving in, we will see increased winds and some precipitation across the area, with good dispersion in most areas, with the exception of parts of Wyoming into the central Idaho mountains and northern Utah, where winds will be a little bit lighter. If we look at the individual components of the ventilation index, transport winds on the left show this increase in winds, especially in the Sierra and over the southern half of the Great Basin, with the strongest winds today likely in the highest elevations and across parts of southwest and south central Utah into parts of the Arizona Strip. Further north, winds will remain light for today across most of Idaho, Wyoming, and into northern Nevada. Mixing heights will be increasing as the storm moves in and will be relatively good in all areas, with the exceptions of parts of the far north. If we move into Tuesday and the storm system moves eastward, we see precipitation increasing over the northern areas of the Great Basin, but still dry conditions and warm temperatures will continue in the south. Temperatures today will remain above normal across the Great Basin, but will be dropping to near normal by the middle of the week and even below normal later in the week. Ventilation indices once again will still remain good across the area. Winds, once again on Tuesday as the storm moves across, will remain strong over the southern areas of the Great Basin, and still remain relatively light over most of Idaho, and again still the strongest winds over parts of western Utah into southern and eastern Nevada and in the high Sierra. Mixing heights will remain high over the eastern half of the Great Basin, but will be dropping somewhat in the west. As we move into Wednesday and the storm system now moves into California, we will see continued moisture across the area with clouds and some showers, and also some gusty winds, especially across the eastern areas of the Great Basin, with good ventilation indices. However, in some areas of central and northeast Nevada, up into northern Utah, and southeast Idaho into Wyoming, we will see poor dispersion. As we move into Wednesday with the winds, you can see on the left the strongest winds once again over the eastern half of the Great Basin and across the Arizona Strip, with winds decreasing in the north and west. Mixing heights will still remain relatively good, however, near the area of low pressure in that swath from central and northeast Nevada northeastward, we will see lower mixing heights. If we look at the forecast clearing index for Utah, again with these strong winds expected most of the week, we will see high clearing indices in most areas, with the exception of where the winds will be a little bit lighter over the northern portion of Utah. Now looking at the overall forecast amount of precipitation for the next few days, which takes us through Thursday morning, you can see the healthiest amounts of precipitation will occur in the high Sierra with over 3 inches of overall precipitation. However, still in areas further east, we will see good amounts, with areas over central Idaho and eastern and northeast Nevada seeing rainfall amounts over 2 inches. In other areas, at least a quarter to a half inch of precipitation is expected or higher. We will also see some flood concerns over parts of northeast Nevada into southern Idaho over the next few days, and this needs to be monitored. Now looking later in the week on Thursday, these first storm systems will move through with drier conditions over western and northern areas of the Great Basin, and still continued shower activity and cloud cover over much of Utah and the Arizona Strip. Ventilation indices will still remain good across the area, but may briefly start to dip into central California, western Nevada, and the Sierra as a brief ridge of high pressure moves in with the drier conditions. However, this will be short-lived. By Friday, another storm system will be moving in, with showers increasing over western and northern areas once again, and a brief period of drying as that ridge moves over the eastern half of the Great Basin. Therefore, we may see some lower mixing heights or slightly poor dispersion at times over eastern Utah on Friday. However, once again, that will be short-lived with good dispersion in other areas. By Saturday, that system moves across the Great Basin, spreading those clouds and showers across the area, and also temperatures this weekend will start dropping slightly below normal. Good ventilation is still expected as that low moves across. On Sunday, that first low shifts to the east and we still have another system off the west coast, so we'll continue to see clouds and showers continue on Sunday as well. Ventilation indices may start to decrease over parts of western and southern areas of the Great Basin as winds decrease. Overall precipitation from Thursday morning through early Saturday shows where the concentration will be, mainly in Northern California, but also over northern areas of the Great Basin, where a half inch to over an inch of total precipitation is possible, and across Utah into parts of the Arizona Strip, we will also see good amounts of precipitation. If we look a little bit further ahead towards the end of March into early April, we'll continue with this wet pattern, especially over the eastern two-thirds of the area and below normal temperatures in the north. That concludes our briefing for today. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you for listening.